All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, let's go from the top since we're now recording. This is this is how the title page should go. Again, I wrote this paper in the 6th edition. In the 7th edition, you don't need the running heads unless, again, the instructor asks for a running head. On the 7th edition, you do not need a running head for just regular works, again, unless the instructor asks you to put a running head. All right, the title of the paper. The title of the paper, every word should be capitalized except prepositions and articles. All right, a couple spaces down, double space, you should have your name, the university, the official course name, the instructor's name, and the due date. Okay, if you do not have the instructor's name, in some courses, there might not be an instructor, or the instructor might be unknown, especially online courses, and you just leave it blank. And if there's no due date per se, you put the date that you wrote it. Also, it's a good idea that you number each paper. The numbering should be in the upper right-hand corner. You can do that again through Microsoft Word. Again,
Mhm.
before you start typing, you go to paragraph, you click the little arrow down, and you can make sure that you set it to first line, double space like I did here, align left. If you have like the Arabic version of Microsoft, it's probably gonna be aligned right, so change it to align left, okay? Click OK, and then you get all these settings, okay? Now, again, ignore the abstract page because and what you have to do, you don't have to write an abstract, okay? But this is how an abstract would look. Notice, again, ignore the running head because the running head was mandatory for the 6th edition. It is not mandatory for the 7th edition, okay?
Mhm.
Notice the word abstract is bold, but also notice everything is in Times New Roman. There's nothing that's not in Times New Roman, and there's nothing that is not that is more or less than 12 font. Everything should be Times New Roman 12 font. Again, unless your instructor says otherwise. Okay. Notice also in the abstract, I did not indent. Notice that the abstract, the paragraph is not indented. We'll talk about writing abstracts later. Again, an abstract is not needed for this activity, okay? And then you have keywords, because this is a research paper. I'm just showing you how APA should look in APA. All right. Now, this is technically the first page of my paper, okay? Again, ignore the running here because in APA 7, it's not needed. This is a level 1 heading. Notice that the level 1 heading is bold. Again, make sure you download the APA manual. You can get it for free from most online, okay? Or you can buy a book, but why buy the book? We can get it for free, okay?
Mhm.
And these are called level headings or headings. This is a level 1 heading. It is bold, and every word is capitalized except prepositions and articles. Notice that, okay? Notice that my paragraph is indented, okay? All right.
Yeah.
Notice that I have a level 1 heading. Notice when I'm using an acronym, I must first uh, spell the acronym out first. So in this case, we have HPT. Now see, I put HPT here. Technically, I didn't have to write it out again here. I could have just put HPT because only need to write an acronym out the first time in a paper. So the first time in a paper, if you're using an acronym, you must write it out. So if I'm saying KSA, the first time I use it in a paper, I must say Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I
Yeah.
must write it out. Then I will put parentheses KSA. every time after that, when I want to write KSA, then I would just put KSA. All right, and if it's a longer word, then you would have a section for all your acronyms. All right. So you would have a section for all your acronyms. All right. Hold on
Okay.
a second, hold on a second. What's going on here? Okay, so you would have you know, if you're doing a larger work, there'll be a section for acronyms. But again, that's, you know, dissertations and things like that. But when you write an acronym, you must first write it out first. KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, quotation, not quotation, parentheses, then you can write FBI. Every time after that, then you can just write FBI. Notice my in-text citations, how they're written, okay? Notice that, all right? This is a citation, an in-text, this is called an in-text citation here. That
Yes.
means I have paraphrased this information, okay? This means that some of this information are not my original thoughts, and that it's probably a paraphrase, okay? If it was a direct quote, it would look a little bit different, all right? The paragraph itself would look different because there will be quotations, and then there'll be more information in this in-text citation. But for all paraphrases, you would have just the author's name and the date for paraphrases. Now, let's talk about direct quotes. When you're writing a paper at the graduate level, even at the undergraduate level, you should have very few direct quotes. That means you're taking the information word from the original author. You want to do that less than, depending on the size of your work, less than 5% of the time. Okay, the only time that you want to use direct quotations are when it's written, the original author wrote it in a way where if you paraphrased it or you summarize what was said, it would take away from the original meaning. Meaning, if you paraphrase what was said, you will be taken away from the meaning. That's the only time you direct quote. On the graduate level, you want to paraphrase more than anything. All right. So you can have as many in-text citations and references as you want. However, they should be paraphrasing. The reason why we paraphrase is to support our original thoughts. Okay. You can also have a sentence that has your original thought in the author's original thought. You still have to give the author credit for that portion of the sentence. So sometimes you would see sometimes you would see the in-text citation here, and maybe in the second or the first half of the sentence. What that normally means is that the first half of the sentence is a paraphrase, but the second half of the sentence is not. Normally, when you see it at the end of the sentence, like here, it typically means that the whole sentence is a paraphrase. Okay. You can also put more than one reference in a citation. I'll show you that later. Okay. Here's another in-text citation. Forgive this. This is just Grammarly saying I could have wrote it better. Grammarly saying, "Oh, you can write it better," or you could have written it better. Okay. Again, I told you about the italics. Again, you only put words in italics if the word is being used differently than what it would normally be used. Okay, in this case, it's scrubbing. We typically think of scrubbing like scrub our clothes or scrub something to clean it. In this case, we're talking about scrubbing as far as looking through it thoroughly. Because we're using the word scrubbing in a way, or I have used the word scrubbing in a way that doesn't fit its primary meaning or meaning that most people would see that word or use that word in, then we put it in italics. So it's used in a way that is typically not used. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's do it one more time. Da, 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 da. All right. So again, you only put a word in italics when the word is being used differently, different than what than the word is normally used as. Okay. Here's another example of an acronym, human resource management. And then from now on, all we have to say is we can just use the acronym HRM or human resource development, the acronym HRD from now on. Okay. But the first time I have to write it out. All right. Notice that all of the paragraphs are indented. Look how long my paragraphs are. All right. Each, when you're writing a big research paper like this, depending on what you're trying to say, your paragraphs should be succinct. They should be cogent. They should have good coherence, cohesion. We talked about that. And it should explain your point. Each paragraph should have a topic sentence. Okay. Everything that we teach young people in school, we have to follow ourselves at the graduate level. So every paragraph should have a topic sentence. Also understand that that you're writing at the academic level. So there should be no slang or informal language used, right? You should have a topic sentence. You should have some main point sentences. You should have supporting detail sentences that support the main point. And you should have a conclusion, or if it's a research paper, you may have what I call a segue sentence. That's the last sentence that connects this paragraph with the next paragraph, right? Because regardless of how many paragraphs or chapters you're writing, you always need cohesion. So the paragraph, the next paragraph should have cohesion, be cohesive with the previous paragraph or the current paragraph, should have cohesion. That's why we have headings. Because if I write another level 2 heading or a level 1 heading, then I can move on to a different topic and I don't have to have, I can go into a different, I don't need to have transition because I'm moving on to a different topic via the heading. Okay. So that's how you know to use your headings properly, whether it's a level 1 heading, a level 2 heading, a level 3 heading. Typically, and most times you're only going to use level 1 and level 2 headings. Sometimes you'll use a level 3 heading, Very rarely will you use a level 4 or level 5 heading. But depending on how detailed you're getting in a on a particular topic, you may use them, but typically you're going to use level 1, level 2, and sometimes level 3 headings. Okay. Keep in mind, no direct quotes unless you are you cannot paraphrase it without taking away from what the original author said. Okay, just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Let's see what else. All right, look at the number of in-text headings, in-text citations I have. Excuse me. 1 second. Okay. All right, let's continue to look on. All right. Look more in text writing. Look, everything is uniform. Everything is aligned left. It's uniform. Nothing is not uniform. It's very important when you write that you have uniformity. All right, it should look well. The reason why it needs to be formatted in uniform, it makes the information easier to find. As I told you before, when you guys came to my house, you know, when you're doing a research paper and you have 30 articles to read, you're not reading each article word for word. So these headings, these level headings, headers, to let you go to write what I'm looking for. Let's say in this case, I'm looking for student-centered learning. Then boom, I can go find it right away. Scroll. This is the part of the paragraph I want to read. I mean, the part of the paper I want to read. Right? I don't have to read the whole paper because everything should be organized and identified properly. So the hold on 1 second. So the reader can know exactly where to find information that they need. The readers can find the information that they need. Okay.
So, Mr. Ray, I just want you the reason that I shared my paper with you, my article with you, is just to check if this is what is required. The APA style, I'll fill it right after if I see the content is correct. Because when we were with the house, the way you were explaining about everything to be connected, the ideas, flow, and all these things, I just have the, the concern of this. So if you can just have a look on the things that I shared with you.
That's why I'm having a conversation with you, because what you shared with me, that is everything that we talked about is not being represented.
Yes,
right?
You're right about the APA style is not there.
Forget the API style for a second. Let's just talk about the ideas. Let's look at what you wrote.
Yeah, please. This is what I want.
Look at what you wrote really quickly. Look which would you have written. Showing you what a paper so you can see how it should look.
Yeah.
Now look at what you have here. All right. Now if I'm your instructor, I'm not even reading this. I'm just gonna tell you to redo it.
Hmm,
See this? Not even reading it. I'm not even gonna read it. Because I could look at it right now and see that's not that there's nothing APA about this, and that is not written in an academic manner. Right? That's
okay.
why I was showing you. You need to
Mhm.
set clear paragraphs that show that you have good cohesion, good coherence in a paragraph form. You need to have topic sentences, okay? You need to have supporting detail sentences. You need to have conclusion. Everything that you learn and that you teach your student, you need to master it, you need to indicate it. You need to do the same thing in your own writing. Okay? Topic sentences, supporting sentences, main point topic sentences, main point sentences, supporting sentences. No formal, no informal language, no slang. And making sure that you have good cohesion, good coherence. Right here, I don't even need to look at it. I could see. Okay. Another point. There's going to be very few times in academic writing where you're writing question marks.
Yeah,
Don't in academic writing on a graduate level, don't ask questions.
okay.
Okay. That's one of the big things I have to yell at my students about at the university is they always want to start a paragraph with a question. That is a no-no in academic writing. We don't do that. Okay. Now, if a question needs to be asked, then we ask a question. If that's a part of what is going on. However, in most cases, we're not asking questions. We're making statements. Academic writing is about making statements. Okay. So all of this is not APA. So when you write APA, you can't go back and fix APA. Okay. You must start with APA on your mind.
Hmm.
Right? Because APA is not just formatting.
Hmm.
Okay. It's not just formatting. APA is how to communicate a thought. So it's more than level one headings and in-text citations and references. It's how and what manner am I using to communicate and express ideas? All right. So when you write a paper in APA or any style guide, you must consider that style guide and the expectations of that style guide before you start writing in the brainstorming, because APA will also help you decide what information you want to include and what information you do not want to include and how you present that information. Okay. So it's not just about where you put in-text citations and how the reference page looks and how headers look. It's a lot more than that. Right? It's how we communicate information to make sure to ensure that that information is it can be easily read.
Hmm. Got it.
Okay?
I'm going to fix this one. I'll send
So
you.
the ideas themselves look okay, but what I would call this is like a brainstorm.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what
so
we did. I
this is
want
like a brainstorm.
what you learned from this module, and what do you think that what else the will be added to give the benefits to the students, and that's it. This is what they're asking. So what I did is summarize all these modules here.
Yeah. So now you need to take this and compress it into 8.
Okay.
You need to compress it into 8 pages. Remember, in academic writing, it's about saying a lot in a short period, in a short span of time.
Hmm.
Okay, academic writing is different than what we tell our students. Oh, write a 5-page paper, write a 10-page paper. No, in academic writing, it's about taking a book, an entire book, and summarizing that book in 5 pages. Right? some, I had a professor that used to give us a paragraph with 100 words or a page with 100 words of information. And we had to compress that idea into 20 words. 20.
I followed your guideline, like figure out what they are actually talking about. What's the question there? So this is all about the critical thinking, finding the right information.
What
That this is,
information is valuable to you? That's what
Yeah.
they really want. But in that course, out of everything that was presented, what do you see as the most essential information that was given?
yeah.
What do you see? And then connecting that information with your personal experiences.
Mhm.
Now we move up the higher order thinking into synthesis, into
Mhm.
evaluation.
Mhm.
We're not just regurgitating. This is not an act of just regurgitating what was presented in the course.
Yeah, that was the point. Yes. How we are in the evaluation state where we have to
Yeah.
check everything and
At the master's level, you should be at the stage where you can synthesize and evaluate. Okay,
Yeah.
this I find that was essential in the course, and this is why it was essential based on my educational or pedagogical approach.
Mhm. Got it.
Now, information is much more meaningful because you're able to apply it to your personal professional experience.
Mhm.
And that's where that synthesis and that evaluation comes in. And that's what they're really looking for. That's what they're really aiming for you. And that's why they ask you to do that throughout most of the courses, because that shows your academic maturity.
Mm.
To take a bit of information and be able to process it through your personal experience.
Mhm.
So it's really a qualitative exercise here.
So I
And
suppose
still,
to do it and send you
Say that
back with something like that.
send it back, format it well, with well thought out paragraphs that are connected through good cohesion. I need to see paragraphs that have topic synthesis. I need to see transitions. All paragraphs should be connected. If you're moving on to a different topic, it should be
Yeah.
organized by different header.
Mhm.
All right. So level 1 header means this is a block of information. Right.
Mhm.
So let me just be clear. Let's say we were writing a paper about vegetables.
Mhm.
Okay. And then we were writing a paper about, and the level, so the title of the paper has something to do with vegetables, right? All right, and then let's say I organize the paper based on the different regions of the world the vegetables are farmed. So we have certain vegetables that come from the Middle East, right? We have certain vegetables that come from the Far East, right? We have certain vegetables that come from the Equator region or the Central America, right? Then we have some vegetables that come from the Nordic region, right? So the Middle East, Far East, Nordic region, Equator, all these cold weather, whatever. These would probably be my level 2 headers, or they could be my level 1 headers. Could be my level 1 headers, right? And then my
Yeah.
level headers might be the countries. So, like for instance, let's say I put Middle East. That's my level 1 header, and then my level 2 header might be Pakistan, not Pakistan. It might be GCC region, right? And then my level 3 header might be the countries: Saudi Arabia, Oman, Emirates, and all the different vegetables that you can find. I go into a whole thing. That's depending on how detailed I'm getting. And then my next level header might be the Far East, right? And then my level 2 header might be China, right? And then the vegetables you find in China, the vegetables you find in Japan, so on and so forth, right? These are my level 2 headers. Okay. All right.
Get it.
It all depends on you organize your paper based on your overall thesis, based on the point that you're trying to make in the overall, because every sentence in that paper should support the one thesis statement, which is the one point that you're trying to make, right? In this case with the vegetables, the one point that you're trying to make might be that, that governments must support local farming, right? In order to maintain vegetational diversity. Okay.
Okay.
And you might break that down into regions, from regions to countries to types of vegetables, right?
Inshallah.
Regions, types of vegetables. So, again, Middle East, level 1, level 2, Saudi Arabia. Level 3 might be what is it? Red onions. They make red onions here, right? What else? Herbs like mint. What else you find in the Middle East? Watermelon, right? What else? Tomatoes, right? So all, and then it goes into, these might be my level 3 headings, the watermelon. That's how I set my paper up. Or you can organize your paper, but you want to, however you think is best to support that thesis statement. So this is why I told you guys when you came to my house, you spend a lot of time on the brainstorming process. Spend a lot of time on the brainstorming process. Okay? Because the brainstorming will allow you to organize your paper in a certain way. Right? The organization of the paper supports the thesis. This is why you can never skip the brainstorm. You can never skip the outline, because how the paper is organized will give you the result of you establishing your thesis well. If you do not organize your paper well, it doesn't matter how much research you did. It doesn't matter how well you wrote it. The information is not presented in a way that connects the ideas well, or connects the ideas in a manner that demonstrates cohesion.
But Mr. Ray, we can only submit the paper once it is, approved by you, right?
Yes, I should see it first.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then this is a great help.
I should see it first, and then hopefully we get to the point where I have faith in your writing. Well, I'll say just turn in. I know you're doing a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. And
Okay.
we go into other types of writing, like research papers and thesis, things like this, then you need my support again. But when we get to the point where, I'm making sure right now I'm looking at every little thing, and then hopefully as you take more and more courses, I could back off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got it.
All right.
Okay. Thank you
All right.
so very much. I'll just
send you a link to this so you can watch it for yourself.
Yeah, please. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
All right. Also, if you find, because I'm finding this is a problem with a lot of people who teach English, even native speakers, they don't really understand how to present academic writing well to their students, right? If you find that if you're having an issue, then, let people know. I have no problem with giving them a free session, one-time free session on academic writing, if they're teachers, and how to present it well to students. I'll do that for free. If you're finding that, because I'm saying that is a big problem. People they don't really understand how a paragraph should look, what sentences are, and how sentences should look.
I don't have a problem with the writing classes, but yes, I do have a problem with to this cohesion things. I have seen like the students, they do write and they follow the guidelines and everything, but the cohesion is always missing. And I don't know how to teach this part. What do we say? You told us last time that do the brainstorming, make a kind of a graph, and then you connect the ideas together. I do all these things in the class. I still I'm
That's
facing problems. So maybe in coming days, I might ask you to help.
because students, they don't, and I was the same way, right? Students just want to turn a paper in. Great.
Yeah,
They don't want to fiddle with a brainstorm outline. They see that as nonsense. Oh, this is nonsense, right? They
yeah.
don't see it as something. So you have to make that part mandatory, and you have to do exercises in the classroom that will really enhance their thinking. That's the hard part. And
I do what? Like
the
I just provide them every paragraph's, main idea. Like I divide them into 5 paragraphs, the topics, and then I give them the main ideas that here you have to give me the topic sentence, here you have to give me a supporting detail, then refute, and then again go back to your opinion, support it, and then the conclusion. This is what I do with them. So yes, you're right. The students are not, very much interested in this kind of writing. They don't actually
again,
do them.
and again, I don't blame the students, because writing is a higher order act that you should want to do,
Mhm.
right? People write because they want to write. And the problem with students is the last thing most students want to do is write, right? They have no
Yeah.
problem filling out a problem. They have no problem filling out a worksheet. But when you ask student to do a higher ordered skill, it makes them nervous. They feel uncomfortable. Is my grammar good enough? What is a sentence anyway? What is this nonsense? What did the teacher really want? So, there's a lot of things that you must do before you ask the student to write, right? So there's a lot of other things that should occur. And then the other big part that a lot of people get wrong is you have to be very liberal on what the topic is. You give them a general topic, then allow them to select a more concise and specific topic from that general topic. Moreover, everything that you have done in class in that unit should be related to the topic. So you should
Yeah.
have spent a couple weeks in the unit, right? So if you're talking about vegetables, if you actually want to write about vegetables, the unit should have been about vegetables, right? You don't talk about World War II for 5 weeks and then ask them to write, a page or a paragraph about vegetables. No, you ask them about what was discussed, what was read, those topics, those learning transactions. And then that's
Yeah.
where, lesson planning and unit planning and all that stuff comes in.
I'm
Right?
pretty much doing the same. I'm really into this one whole class learning, and then the small group learning, and then the individual learning. I do go with the comparative literature. If you have seen the Pearson book, My Perspective, this book is really smartly designed for the students. So the book is really such a helpful sources. But the idea is that we still struggling with the students in the writing. So I think the
Reason
writing, as I said, it is the premium things after you have done everything in the education life.
one, the reason you'll always struggle with writing, because people, not just students, people. I I had people in my doctoral class that dropped out because the writing was just too hard for them at the doctoral level. Okay. Writing sucks for people unless you're very interested in the topic that you're writing about. If I told you to write me a 10-page paper about why I should give you $1 million, that's going to be a very, very good paper, right? Because you're going to want to write that paper. You're going to work very hard on that paper because you want the $1 million. Right?
Definitely. Yeah.
However, we're asking people to write about things that they're not interested in.
Yep. Involvement. So
It's
yes, you're right.
always going to be a problem. it's always, this is why at the dissertation level, you're not given a topic for your dissertation. You decide what the topic is. It should be something that you are compassionate about and that you want to research. And so if we could do that, if we have to do that at the dissertation level and the thesis level, why should we be doing it to first graders and third graders and seventh graders and ninth graders? It's the same process. And then, you know, we give them a topic they don't really care about, and then we expect them to be this awesome writer. And then we didn't put enough time into helping them develop their thoughts. That's the main thing. When we build a lesson, your backwards map, keeping in mind that the prize for me, the prize is them writing this awesome term paper or this awesome essay. So I plan my unit with the idea that I'm going to have them write this awesome essay at the end. And so that's where the textbook cannot be the primary provider of learning. The textbook cannot be the curriculum. And you will never get people to become great writers through a textbook. The textbook is only a resource. You can only get people to become great writers by inspiring them and having them do student-centered learning and project-based learning and problem-based learning and going through transactions in real time and facilitating that acquisition of knowledge and moving up Bloom's taxonomy. The textbook can't do that well because that's a learning transaction between teachers and learners.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Ray. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem. So once you fix this, just send me a copy and I'll look at it.
Thank you very much. I'll do it, inshallah. Send me the recording.
I'll send the link to you now. Don't hesitate to share this with Mr.
Shaban.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Thank
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye. Assalamu alaikum.